So here's the thing. Most people want to get into taking action before getting clear on what they actually want. But as an advent strategist that has helped thousands of people in their personal life, in their financial life, in their business, all the things in between, I want you to get clear before you start taking action because if you don't, it is a recipe for insanity. You will go nuts trying to jump all over the place and realize I still didn't actually get what I desired. So we get to start with clarity first. And so I'm going to give you my three magical prompts that I use for myself and with clients to help them be able to accelerate themselves into the how, into the action, because they've taken the time to get clear on what they desire first. So let's jump right in. So, prompt number one is inspired from a framework that's called Be, Do, Have. It is about you have things because you do things, and you do those things because of who you are being. And so my framework is a three-part framework as well. And this part of the framework is called the what. What do you desire? And it's inspired by Be Do Have because essentially this is about you thinking about what do you desire to have. But I like to dig into it a little deeper in the sense of what do you desire to have and get really crystal clear of what that looks like. What does that desire look like? What does it feel like? And so it's one thing when you do surface level stuff because that's what we typically do is like a surface level. What do you desire to have? So we might say, oh, I desire to have money, or I desire to have more peace at work, or I desire to be in a relationship, all the things. And we'll just stop there. But this is not just about doing a laundry list of a whole bunch of things you desire. This is about really painting the picture of what you actually desire. So I would go on to say, like, well, what do you want that desire to look like? So to have a lot of money, that's really interesting. Okay, well, what would that look like in your world? What is it that you actually desire? It's like, oh, I actually desire to see $10,000 in my savings. I desire to have retirement in the amount of X, Y, and Z. I desire to not feel guilty when I go get my latte or take a vacation. I desire to gift my family with opportunities to see the world. Really painting that picture of what you desire because the more that you can lock in on the what, the other things will tend to follow. So, getting really deep down, juicy into what you desire. And let's face it, as we have adulted, we tend to not do the desire part. We tend to get right into action because it makes us uncomfortable to really think about what we desire because sometimes we think, oh, it's selfish of me to think of wanting to have more. I already have so much. And that's the lie. There is an opportunity for you to still feel grateful for what you have and go for the things you still desire to have in your life. There's nothing wrong with that. The other part is as we grow up, we're taught to believe everything is possible and you can invent, you can imagine, you can do all the things. And then as we continue to become adults, we're taught to be realistic or that's not possible or you're too old for that, you're too young for that. You need to be this kind of person that has this if you want to do that. So many different judgments and constraints enter our mind and keep us from really throwing our inhibitions to the wind. And so when you do this prompt, this journaling prompt, I really want you to throw your inhibitions to the wind, not worry about is this realistic? Should I be asking for this? Is this something that I'm worthy of? No, get right into desire. Prompt two, who do you need to be? I like doing this second because what you desire to have is linked to who you know you need to be to have that. Because there is a certain person that is living and being and breathing and showing up in life in a way that allows her to receive those what's, those desires. Now, is she going to receive them at the time frame that she wants? Maybe, maybe not. Is she going to always get them packaged the way she wants? Maybe, maybe not. But the point is that if we never make ourselves become the person that has the things, we'll never be aligned to having it. I'm sure you know this example, but this happens to us, especially if you've raised children, been around children, or you can even look at adults, right? But you know how someone desires something that they can't take care of. So a kid might say, "Oh, I want a pet." In the back of your mind, knowing, okay, you can't even keep your room clean. How are you going to take care of a dog? But as they start becoming more responsible at home, taking care of things, doing things when they're being asked to do it, or taking the initiative to do things, you start seeing this element of responsibility in their being, this discipline in their being. And then you're like, oh, they're totally ready for this. And so you happily give them the pets or whatever they're asking for. And this applies to not just kids, but I want to use that to make it a little easier for you to see. But also as adults, we say that we're ready for something, and our ego says, "Why don't I have this by now? I should have this because I've done X, Y, and Z, and X, all these different things." But if we get real with ourselves, are we creating a space within who we are to be able to receive it and treat it well? And if we're honest with ourselves, most times we're not. And that's the hard thing to accept, that most times we're actually not in a place to receive the thing that we say that we want well and take care of it well and all of that. Now, by no means is this about perfection, but this is about being on a journey to embodying who you need to become to have what it is that you desire. And obviously, just being open to receiving the things that you want as you are becoming that person. So during this journal prompt, I want you to think about, who is she? Who is the person? Who is she that has those things that you desire? How does she walk? How does she talk? How does she act? What is her everyday routine? Like, get really into it, just like you did with the desire of what you want to have. I want you to get into that same thing with, who do you need to be? Who is she? What is that vision of who she is in your head? So deep, dig into this really deep, get into it so that you can start really clearly seeing that picture and almost allowing yourself to begin to see the possibility of how you can already step into being her, because that's going to be very important for part three. So, prompt three is a little unusual because this prompt is about doing you. I call it do you. And it really means taking inspired action. And the reason I say it's unusual is because doing you as if you are already the person that you wrote about in prompt two, who you need to become. This is why it's unusual, because most people feel like they're being a hypocrite when they're immediately told to start operating as if they're already a person that they don't really see themselves as just yet. And that's because we are so caught up in being perfectionists that we don't take any credit for starting to be on a journey and calling ourselves the person that we desire to be now, even when we're not fully baked. I always like to use this example of a runner. So, all because a runner doesn't start running marathons right away doesn't mean they're not a runner. When they start the journey and decide that they're a runner and they start prepping and they start really training themselves, they're already a runner. They're already a runner in their mind. Same thing as a dancer. I'm a trained dancer. If I waited until I perfected a leap before I called myself a dancer, I probably would have had a hard time even in the process of becoming that. So you have to already identify yourself as the person that's already that, so that as you're going on the journey, you're in this belief of knowing this is who you are. It's only natural that you start doing you. But the catch is, you don't have to have this perfect, fully baked vision happen in day one. You get to do 1% better every day. And that is the golden key to being able to actually see yourself jump into the how a lot faster than you would had you not did this work before. So 1% better. What could you do 1% differently to be closer to being her? That person you see in your mind now. That is what Do You is all about. So if you really loved what I shared today, then you would absolutely love my course called Future Her. Now it's not out yet, but if you want to be added to the list of people that knows when it comes out, go ahead and click the link below. And as a special gift, you'll get one of the recordings. So you get to be an early adopter of knowing what some of this is because you watch this video, and you're going to get a free video from the course before it comes out. Lucky you. So if you enjoy this, please let me know in the comments. And until the next time, have a great day.